Legends. Pull those belts down tight one more time, warm up those tires, hit your marks, and let's go racing, boys and girls. Nascar, Indycar, Formula One, Formula E, and NHRA Racing Talk. This is the Championship Racing Network. Now here is your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson, with producer John Myers.
And if you're watching on CRN Live, only one of us is pictured. We'll fill you in on all that because while producer John and I are in studio, Matt's set to join us by phone here in a moment. We'll tell you all about that. Got plenty to look into this week. Oh, do we? We're going to do some deep dives into some stuff as well. We got a throwback look for one NASCAR driver this weekend. It would seem appropriate considering the weekend and where we're going. Got lots of new looks and even a new name coming up in Formula E for 2024. Will one NASCAR team be a 3 or a 4-car operation? They're still trying to figure that one out. Got some driver announcements in the NHRA, and we still got a couple of races yet to go this year. Is NASCAR actually gonna go street course racing? Maybe. Ever wanted to be a crew chief in NASCAR? One team said to give you, the fans, a chance to see how good you are, and then NASCAR sends out a penalty and then reverses course. We'll give you the details on all that and so much more, and be joined by Matt next.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network.
Listen.
Of fuel, and we're back to more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
Yes, indeed, we are back in here, and we are waiting to hear from one Matt Nicholson, and we're going to see if we can't spur him to go ahead and do that here with a little text message. Hey there. I'm Steve West. Yeah, really. And producer John in studio. Matt is with family out there in Arkansas. I'm not exactly sure where in Arkansas, just to be real honest with you. But again, that's details we'll find out here in just a little bit. In the meantime, thank you very much for joining us, all of you that are listening to us on our flagship station. We're back after a week of YouTube only because of the fine folks at college football. But I'll also let you know that we're going to be on the air while Cup Series qualifying is going on down at Homestead, Miami. We are not going to be joining that live. We're not being preempted for that. But we'll keep you updated on it as the course of the show goes along, so that way you're not missing anything. And then about a half an hour after our show ends on the flagship radio station, we're going to get into a pre-race because they got a busy day. We'll give you a whole schedule coming up for this weekend in just a moment or two. First off, though, we do, as we wait Matt to join us, to look back on last weekend with the Xfinity Series running out in Las Vegas, Sin City. I remember Matt and I talking about how Stewart House Racing had announced that Riley Earps was going to be back in the number 98 car in 2024. And when I asked Matt about it, he said, really, now was kind of the time for Riley Earps to step up, for Riley Earps to come in and earn that. Because remember, he's now been in that 98 car. This is his third year. And while he's had top 10s, heck, he started off this season with 6 straight top 10s. He was, good to go out of the box. And we figured he was really, really close to getting that win. I think we're joined by Matt on the phone right now. So we're talking a little bit about Vegas last week, Matt. And we're talking about Riley Earps. You said last week, after we noted that he had re-signed, he's going to be back in that car next year, he needed to step up and he earned it. Was last weekend good enough or just the first step for you?
Well, for me, I think that's step one.
Okay.
He proved himself quite formidably at his own home track. So I think that's just step one. Now, step two is being more consistent.
Okay, and I agree with that. Well, he got a win, and he did it in style. He led 103 of the 201 laps run. He not only beat the series record for margin of victory, he blistered it. The prior record had been set by Jeff Burton more than 20 years ago, and we've only been racing at Homestead, Miami since 1999, remember. That record by Jeff Burton was 8 seconds. Earps claimed the win by 14.9 seconds. It also didn't hurt that he had some 60 friends and family in attendance to see that inaugural his inaugural win in the series. So, you being the racer here, and I get it, he's won at lower levels. But as you graduate up, because you didn't start off, correct me if I'm wrong, you didn't start off running the late model that that was your most recent experience, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So as you go through and you build up from level to level, however many levels that might be, you're always anticipating that first win. How did that first win feel for you? And then when you stepped up to the next level, you're suddenly going, okay, I'm working on winning now again. How does that next win feel?
Well, there's an old saying in racing to where the first one is always that hardest one to get.
Sure.
But when the first one is achieved, the next one gets so much easier and so much easier. Because when I achieved my first win, 2 weeks later, I got my second one and went on a 5-race winning streak. So they get easier with time, but now it's just a matter of keeping the puzzle pieces put together to where he can consistently get those W's. Because we've known all along he's got the equipment underneath him to do so. It's just a matter of him putting all the puzzle pieces together behind the seat. And last week he did that and then some.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about that. Plus, I found out that Cole Custer, his teammate, has the pole for later today, and Riley Earps qualified 7th, if I remember correctly. So they backed up Las Vegas with a pretty good qualifying run. Now we'll see how they do during the race. After Riley Earps was John Hunter Nemechek. He's got the most wins in the series this season, but he had nothing for Earps. Finishes second again, 15 seconds behind. But he was ahead of Earps' teammate, Cole Custer, who was third. Rest of your top 10, Chandler Smith. We'll get back to him. Sam Mayer, Justin Allgaier, Austin Hill, Brandon Jones, Daniel Hemrick, and Lane Riggs of all people, jumping up and claiming a top 10. Is this Lane bucking to get a full-time ride, or what's the situation with Lane?
He's trying to get a full-time ride.
Okay. Has he got a decent chance at getting one?
I'm not sure about this one. He's still got some more growing to do.
I got you. Okay. Custer's third place result did push him up above the cut line, but he does sit squarely on the bubble of the 8 drivers there. He is fourth. He's 15 points up on Chandler Smith, 16 up on Sam Mayer. Sammy Smith's 35 down. Sheldon Creed on the hottest seat of all, 41 points under the cut line. Really, though, I would have to say both Sammy and Sheldon are really in a situation where they got to win because, again, not only are they the points situation that they're down, they're in 7th and 8th respectively. So, yeah, they're going to need a win. And let's face it, it's going to take some fairly extraordinary driving by both Smith and Mayer to be able to overcome what appears to be a reawakened Stewart-Haas Racing Xfinity Series operation. Appears to be, anyway, based on last week and their qualifying for this week.
Mm-hmm. I do agree.
Time will tell. Sunday in Vegas, it was the Cup Series getting off the starting line first. When it was all over, it was Kyle Larson who had dodged a mid-race bullet to claim the win. The mid-race bullet was him coming off of turn 2 midway through the race. Got loose. He tagged the wall with the right rear corner, but he gathered it back up. He only lost 2 positions. Reported on the radio, he felt like he flat-spotted his tires. Lucky for him, there was another incident on the track shortly thereafter that brought out a yellow, so he was able to get the tires changed and everything. His crew, man, they were on it all race long. I mean, they were averaging pit stops that were in the mid-9-second range. There was a time when we used to marvel at sub-13-second, 12-second bracket pit stops in the Cup Series, and I get it. They're not having to take 5 lug nuts off and put 5 lug nuts on. I get that. But still, the speed with which they are doing this, you got to be impressed by it. This is a crew of team members they all have to be able to work together in concert and not have anything go wrong. And for all intents and purposes, nothing went wrong with the pit crew all race long on that 5 car.
Yeah, that's an understatement. I mean, that was one of those banner days for them of everything going right instead of everything going wrong. They had everything they executed to perfection, and then, the results showed it.
Absolutely, it did. His crew got him out front on the last pit stop, goes on to claim the win. He clinches the first of 3 clinchable spots in the championship 4. Christopher Bell, who Larson commended for always seeming to be able to beat him in Vegas, was second this time, also commended him for racing him clean. Kyle Busch was third. He looked like he had a car that might be able to compete for a win, but unfortunately it just tailed off too much. Brad Keselowski was fourth, then Ross Chastain, Ryan Blaney, William Byron. Tyler Reddick, Martin Truex Jr., and Denny Hamlin fell out the top 10. So again, Larson's locked into Phoenix. Denny Hamlin is the guy sitting on the bubble after the first race where all remaining 8 playoff drivers finished in the top 11. That's also somewhat remarkable that this is the first race during the playoffs that at least not one of the playoff drivers had some sort of a major problem that caused them to end up, finishing outside the top 20 or sometimes below 30th place, if not being able to finish the race at all and ending up being 37th, 38th out of the whole situation. So, yeah, really, really good day for the 8 playoff drivers last weekend. And really, so not a whole lot of change there, just kind of points movement, if you will. Again, Larson's moving on. We know that. Hamlin sitting on the hot seat or on the bubble, he's only 2 points above Christopher Bell, so that easily could change at Homestead, Miami, depending on what happens later today. Tyler Reddick's got a little bit of work to do. He's 16 points under, but he's generally pretty good at a place like a Homestead, Miami. You and I know this. We've been there. Heck, I'm wearing a shirt that kind of commemorates the 2019 trek that we had down there for the championship, the final championship weekend that was run down there. Mm-hmm. And Homestead, Miami is one of those tracks where you can easily, and in some cases, it's kind of preferred to run out by the wall as one of the faster lines around Homestead, Miami. Tyler Reddick is very, very comfortable around there. And if they can get that car settled in, he might be somebody's really good person to bet on this weekend if you're a betting person. I'm not. I'm just saying.
I'm hinging my bets on him. He's, as running that top line, Homestead, Miami's like running a cushion on a dirt track.
Mm-hmm.
High, wide, handsome.
Oh, sure.
Keeping that momentum built up, as we know, Homestead being a progressive banking track,
mm-hmm.
and that top lane having the most banking, you can keep it wound up more and can really hammer down, as you per se.
Yep. Ryan Blaney, 17 points down. That could have been a lot worse. We'll detail that. And Chris Buescher's on the hottest seat of all, 23 points under the cut line in 8th. And this is not, with all due respect to Chris Buescher, one of his better tracks.
No.
So,
not at all.
I don't know. It may come down to Martinsville for him. We'll find out. Shortly after the Cup Series race got rolling, the Texas Motorplex got things rolling with the Camping World Drag Racing Series. The finals at Top Fuel, it was Leah Pruitt pairing off against Steve Torrance. It was Pruitt who had the quicker reaction time and paid off with a win at the other end. Clocked a 3.684 ET at 330.47 miles per hour. Down in Funny Car, the other Tony Stewart racing driver, Funny Car pilot Matt Hagan, made it to the finals against the legend, John Force. Now, Force was a tick quicker off the light, but he began to lose traction, so Hagan gets the win. 3.883 second ET at 332.25 miles per hour. Marks the first time that both Stewart racing drivers won on the same weekend. Well, Tony had a reason to celebrate, even if it wasn't for himself. We'll get back to that. Erica Enders and Dallas Glenn made it to the finals of Pro Stock Car. Enders much quicker with the reaction time. Pays off at the other side, 6.469 ET, 211.55 miles per hour. Pro Stock Motorcycle came down to a battle between Gage Herrera and Eddie Krawick. I'll give you 3 guesses as to who claimed that, and the first 2 don't count. Reaction time advantage goes to Herrera. The win goes to Herrera. A scorching 6.644 ET, 203.3 miles per hour on a motorcycle.
I would have guessed wrong.
And more on his speed coming up. 2 other quick notes. Top Alcohol. The Top Alcohol dragster thing, the one that Tony Stewart's actually competing in. The points leader, Julie Nataas, made it to the finals, bested Kirk Wolf, won the event, and that is enough. She claims her 4th division title in 5 years. She locks out Tony Stewart with 2 more races left. Lenny Lottig, meanwhile, bested Doug Hamp, claimed the FlexJet Factory Stock Showdown event win, and they don't have any more races left in the year, so we'll deal with the points on that in a moment. Leah Pruitt takes over Top Fuel points lead by 4 points over Doug Kalita. Steve Torrance 13 back. Justin Ashley 108 down, and 110 back as Antron Brown. Funny Car's lead belongs to Matt Hagan. He's up 36 points on Bob Tasca the third. Robert Height 69 back, 99 down. Ron Capps, John Force 198 points out of the lead. With 2 races left, he's not mathematically eliminated, but realistically, sorry, John, I'm thinking you're probably not going to get there. Yes. No. You agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not only 198 points out, you're sitting in 5th. You got to jump over 4 other drivers. Erica Enders is kind of starting to pull away, too. 85-point lead over second place. Greg Anderson in Pro Stock Car. 93 over Dallas Green. 108 up on Matt Hartford. And Aaron Stanfield 123 back. And in Pro Stock Motorcycle it has been all year. It's all Gage Herrera, sitting 156 points up on Eddie Krawick. Let's put that in perspective, shall we? Let's just say, with 2 races to go, that Gage decides, I'm not going to run next weekend. And let's presume that Eddie Krawick wins everything he can possibly win. Gage Herrera would still lead him by 6 points.
Crazy.
Yep. Yes.
No.
Matt Smith, 174 down, 179 back as Hector Arana Jr. with only 2 races. Again, these are the only 4 that mathematically can claim the title. Realistically, that's another story. Jilly Nataas, a 711 to 636 point advantage over Tony Stewart. Max points in Top Alcohol are different than in the Camping World Drag Racing Series. So as I said, she's won her 4th title in 5 years. Sean Cowie, 571. Matthew Cummings sitting at 570. FlexJet Factory Stock Showdown. Aaron Stanfield, your division winner, 799 points to 720 for Stephen Bell. Lenny Loddick, 639, 593 for Mark Howick. So the slate of racing for this weekend starts with the Craftsman Truck Series, runs the Baptist Health Cancer Care 200. There's a name for you. It's at Homestead Miami Speedway. Fox Sports 1's got coverage. MRN Radio beginning their coverage for the race, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. Again, television and radio, they start at different times, as we tend to get new listeners all the time. Television and radio start their pre-race coverage at different times. We don't deal with the pre-race coverage. We only deal with race time coverage. That, again, for the Truck Series, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. At the same track, Xfinity Series going to get into the Contender Boats 300 on USA and MRN Radio. That's this afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time, depending on what kind of a wreck fest the Truck Series gets into. Cup Series will get your Sunday racing up and rolling with the Forever 400 presented by Mobile One. This is the one that we talked about last week. If you checked out our CRN Live on YouTube only show, we actually even showed you the logo for the race, which is honoring, of course, Kevin Harvick.
And that's right. If you don't go to YouTube and sign up, you miss out on a lot. Just saying.
Thank you, Producer John. NBC and MRN Radio have the coverage beginning 2:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Central Time. And we actually have a legitimate Cup Series versus Formula One face-off tomorrow, because Cup Series is running on NBC. Formula One, getting into the Lenovo United States Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas, that 20-turn, 3.3-mile-long road course just outside of Austin, Texas. That's not just going to be on the ESPN family. It's going to be on ABC, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time. NHRA is off this weekend. So that's your racing slate for this weekend, at least for the series that we cover. If you're on CRN Live on YouTube, I'm sure that Athena is either working it up or has already posted the many, many numerous racing series that are in action this weekend. And she does a fantastic job of talking about everything worldwide, and we appreciate her very much. All right. So NASCAR, last Sunday, handed down a pretty hefty penalty to one team and then had to take it back. Details next.
Stay right for more on the Championship Racing Network.
When you have to have service.
2 tires only, and back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
All right, before we get into all that, let's chat with Matt here real quick. As you have noted, he is joining us by phone this weekend as opposed to being in studio. You're in Arkansas. I know that. I'm trying to remember what part of Arkansas.
Little Rock.
Okay. So I should have gone with the obvious.
That brings a song to mind, but
Does
we'll
it?
not go there.
Yeah. Maybe we ought to get somebody like, I don't know, Reba McEntire to do it.
Ding, ding.
Yeah. Family situation. So we're not going to get into that fully, but yeah, your mom's up there, stepdad. So, hope everything goes well and safe travels back. Okay.
Appreciate it, man.
Let's see here. Let's talk about this. I mean, this is interesting here because as they say, it takes a big person to admit that they made a mistake. And NASCAR was in that situation. Last Sunday, post-race inspection, NASCAR officials reported that the number 12 Ford Mustang of Ryan Blaney failed post-race inspection, said the car was in violation, and I'm going to go deep on this, section 14.11.3.5, explaining that the right front damper, read shock, on the car didn't meet the length specified in the rule book. They have some sort of weird little contraption that they put together that they stick the shock in, and if it doesn't match that, then boom, you're disqualified.
Technical point. Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, but wouldn't the front right shock be known as a strut?
It's depending on how you look at it on a vehicle or what you want to call it. It's technically the same thing. Strut, shock, damper.
Yeah.
Kind of the same thing if you ask me.
Somebody broke out a thesaurus before they wrote the NASCAR rule book. I mean, that's basically it.
Yeah.
So the penalty immediately regulated him to a 36th place finish, last. Dropped all of his stage points that he had accrued, left him over 50 points under the cut line as things closed up at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Well, they get to, obviously they confiscated it. They're taking it back to NASCAR's Research and Development Center, the R&D Center just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. And Monday, as they unpack everything, they started kind of looking at things, and they're like, wait a minute. Something seems a little hinky, a little off. We're not really sure about this. So they discovered that the issue was not with the damper, shock, strut, whatever you want to call it, that was taken off the 12 car. It was actually the little contraption that they had that was used to measure said damper, shock, strut. Oops. So when that was noted, NASCAR quickly rescinded the penalty in all aspects. They restored his 6th place finish, his 8 stage points he accrued throughout the race, and that decision increased his chances somewhat. He went from being 56 points under the cut line to now only 17 points under the cut line. Led Brad Moran to explain what happened on Monday afternoon on Sirius XM satellite radio, and he reiterated it on Tuesday, I take that back, on Tuesday on Fox Sports' One NASCAR Race Hub. He said, quote, obviously a lot of shocks go on and off throughout the weekend. They have a set screw underneath it that keeps everything tight. If they become even the slightest bit loose during the weekend, they can actually basically shift a little bit. So it's not big numbers we're talking about here, but there was a way that they could actually come loose, and if they were moved, the shock would go on. He's talking about the contraption with that set screw. So if they are moved, the shock would go on, and it was sealed prior to the race. That's where the problem came about post-race. The same shock did not pass the same template that it was on previously. So again, we did a lot of digging here to come up with what we did, but when we were all done, NASCAR had to take ownership on it. It wasn't a team problem. We will own up to that, and that's why the penalty is getting rescinded. In other words, they go through and they put 36 cars worth of shocks on this little template before the race. They didn't double check to make sure that all the screws on the contraption were still solid and ready to go after the race, because all the jostling of taking shocks off and putting them on had loosened the screw up. And boom, one shock misses. Huh. Where have we heard screws backing out before or bolts backing out before? Oh, that's right, the 4-car. Not going into that any further. So
yeah,
I'll give credit where it's due. NASCAR said, you know what? We messed up. It's on us. We accept the blame. Our apologies. Here's all your points back. You go get it. Here's the other side of it for me. They said that this thing was short by 5 1,000ths. I think it was
5 1,000ths of it. 5 1,000ths of an inch on a shock travel is not going to make that much difference, especially when you're on a racetrack that's weathered and has characteristics like Las Vegas. It's not going to. I'm sorry, it's not going to make a difference.
Sure. And here's the other side. Even if you were attempting to try and play in a gray area, let's just presume for a moment here that this was an intentional thing on the part of the 12 car. We know it's not, but let's just presume it for a moment. That this was an intentional thing on the 12 car to say, you know what? Let's see if we can get away with 5 1,000ths of an inch short. And they stick it on the right front. What, if anything, is that actually going to do to benefit you?
Nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. If you're getting within the tenth of an inch or higher. Yeah. But 5 1,000ths, no.
5
1,000ths
of an inch. For those of you watching on CRN Live on YouTube, 5 1,000ths of an inch is actually thinner than this piece of paper I'm holding up. Grab yourself just a piece of paper, random piece of paper, not a newspaper, just a random piece of paper, 8x10 piece of paper. It's 5 1,000ths of an inch.
Piece of copy paper.
5 1,000ths. That right there, that's not assisting you in any way, shape, or form aerodynamically. I get it. Rules are rules.
To me, it's a bit nitpicky.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Rules are rules,
right.
and they don't want you messing with the car in any way, shape, or form. But again, what's the benefit? And if there's no benefit,
that is thinner than a shim that you can put in a shock.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Considerably thinner.
So
where it gets where you can adjust bump stops and shock travel, that is thinner, considerably thinner than a shim.
Mm-hmm.
And shims are, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think shims to go in shocks can be 0.2 of an inch or larger. The smallest one that I remember is 0.2 of an inch.
There you go. So again, kudos to NASCAR for actually realizing that, you know what, maybe it was on us. They put everything together the proper way to the specs that the actual measurement device was supposed to be. And you know what? Now maybe they'll actually, I don't know, check that piece of equipment during the race while we're at Homestead, Miami, and then at Martinsville, and then again at Phoenix to make sure they don't screw this one up again. To use a pun.
Unscrew this one.
Yeah, or to use a pun. Pretty cool thing by the Stewart-Haas Racing Team and NASCAR. Again, we talked about the fact that they are calling this race at Homestead Miami Speedway, and with the help of Mobil 1, which has been a longtime sponsor of Stewart-Haas Racing, and Kevin Harvick. It is the Forever 400, using the number 4, as on the Kevin Harvick ride, for this particular race, honoring the guy who won the 2014 Cup Series title and clinched it at Homestead, Miami. And with only 3 races left, including this weekend, SHR has begun pulling out every stop that they can think of. For example, they changed its number 4 in the Cup Series to the number 29. They used that at the All-Star race as kind of a neat little throwback. Well, when he first came over to Stewart-Haas Racing in 2014, you might remember he brought one of his sponsors with him, Budweiser. In recent years, the company's chosen to highlight another brand under the Anheuser-Busch name, Busch specifically, and Busch Light. But for this weekend at Homestead, Miami, they're going to break out a look that, well, it's as close as you can get to the look that he ran in 2014. You'll be able to see it here in just a moment on CRN Live on YouTube, courtesy of the fine folks at Stewart-Haas Racing. They worked together to create this one race look. Surprised Harvick. He didn't even know that they were doing this. They unveiled it to him and crew chief Rodney Childers at the shop Monday when they arrived there. And again, it's as close as you can get to it because, again, if you look at what was going on in 2014 versus what we have now, where the number is obviously has changed. It's moved forward. But everything else about that car, the paint scheme, matches 2014 almost exactly. Kudos to SHR for that.
Even the roof number.
Yeah, going gold with the roof number on the top. So yeah,
because at the time was Sprint having the yellow gold, the roof banner, the spoiler, the splitter.
Yep.
Even the roof number. I mean, they nailed this one right here.
Yeah, they did. It's a fantastic look. So I was, no disrespect to Busch Light. Okay, I'm not a beer drinker. I'll say that first and foremost. No disrespect to the fine folks at Busch Light, but I always loved the Budweiser look on the car. It just, to me, it was always a sharp looking car. Previous announcement that Carson Hocevar was going to finish out the 2023 season in the number 42 in the Cup Series. After a disappointing early crash in Las Vegas, don't worry, he's still slated to drive the car in Martinsville and the season finale in Phoenix. But for this weekend, it won't be Carson Hocevar. They're going to put John Hunter Nemechek in that car. And you're thinking to yourself, well, wait a minute. Next year, John Hunter Nemechek's getting in the car, and we here have talked about this on the show, that obviously Legacy MC is switching to Toyota next year. And John Hunter Nemechek drives Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing in the Xfinity Series. But isn't Legacy MC still Chevrolet? Mm-hmm. And that's been the hiccup about trying to put John Hunter Nemechek in that car already. But it appears that Legacy and Toyota and Chevrolet actually were able to overcome all of those hurdles and allowed him to join at least for one race. They got them all worked out on Monday. Team co-owner Jimmy Johnson released a statement via social media saying, quote, "Hi fans, just want to let you know about a quick change for Homestead. Thanks to our long-term partners here at Chevy and our future partners at Toyota and Joe Gibbs Racing, we do have the opportunity to run one race with our future driver, not John Hunter Nemechek in the 42 car. It'll just be one race. Carson Hocevar will step aside. He's going to come hang out at the race, and he'll watch. We'll put Carson back in the car to close out the season." He said at Phoenix. But I am led to believe, again, with one race, that Martinsville's also in there, or am I missing something?
Yeah, Martinsville's in there for sure.
Okay, I was just double checking. All right. You could actually be forgiven if you didn't remember this operation, because even when they were in existence, they were, well, backmarker might actually be to call this team a backmarker might be an insult to backmarkers. You remember BK Racing? Yeah, they didn't. The only reason that you might have heard of them is the fact that they had big-time sponsorship from the likes of Burger King and Dr. Pepper. They had this revolving door of drivers, including Joey Gase, J.J. Yaley, Spencer Gallagher. Remember when he drove? Greg Galding and others in cars that included numbers like 23, 83, 26, 93. You know, it constantly changed. The primary owner was a guy by the name of Ron Devine. He operated the team from 2012 through 2018. And when it went away, most of the assets went to either Front Row Motorsports or to Rick Ware Racing. Explains a lot about Rick Ware. Since then, his major backer, Union Bank and Trust, and Devine have been involved in a legal battle over the sale of the charter and who owed what to whom. Well, on Wednesday, partially, we got an answer. Partially. The Office of the Western District of North Carolina indicted Devine on 4 counts of failure to pay payroll taxes. NBC Sports is reporting this indictment alleged Devine was the main financial person for the team, BK Racing, and therefore should be the one held responsible for the lack of paid taxes. Now, again, the end of the team began in 2018 when only hours before the Daytona 500, Devine filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Noted that the bank was preparing a court document that asserted it should be operating the team, seeking an injunction to keep Devine from selling the assets of the team, including the charter. Later that year, the court ordered the sale of the charter and the team assets, and they got about a little more than $2 million. Most of that money went to the bank. That was a fire sale. And I understand this. Charters at that point in time were a heck of a lot less expensive than what they are now. But think about this for a moment. Just consider this. BK's Racing quarter-order sale of their charter went for $2 million. Spire Motorsports bought the Live Fast charter just a couple of weeks ago for the nice, tidy sum of $40 million.
I thought that number rang a bell.
Yep.
Yeah. Good luck, Ron. Your trial is coming up next year. Last week on the CRN Live on YouTube only show, we talked about the surprise split in the Xfinity series between Richard Childress Racing and Sheldon Creed. We're going to take a little bit of an early break here because you, Matt, said that you've been hearing some things. A little bit more detail coming out this week about that, and maybe some other movement that we referred to last week on the show as well by one website who, well, we kind of question the veracity of it. Maybe there's a little bit more fire than just a whole bunch of smoke. Talk about it next on CRN.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network.
Welcome back into the show. Steve West, producer John in studio. Matt Nicholson by phone from Arkansas, but going to be with us throughout the course of the show. We appreciate that. Last week on our CRN Live on YouTube only show, we talked about kind of a surprise split that was taking place between Richard Childress Racing and Sheldon Creed. Creed initially announced the split the Wednesday before Las Vegas weekend. Referenced it again after Friday's on-track activities of practice and qualifying, but he only said then, quote, I don't know, I think a lot of things play a role. I've been happy. We've had okay runs, but I felt like it was time for a change, for me to just switch things up again. Well, he was asked what the plan was, and he wasn't willing to say yet. He only allowed this, quote, "Honestly, I thought I was going back to RCR. If you'd asked me 4 weeks ago, just an opportunity came up to make a change. I don't know. We bonded on it for a while. RC and everyone at RCR are great people. They gave me my first shot out of the trucks, so it's not an easy decision. If we do make this jump, is it worth it? All those little things go through your head. I would have loved to have had this behind us in August, and then everyone could move forward, but here we are at the beginning of October, later than we all wanted." At that time, you made a link, not to a team specifically, but you seem to feel like we kind of had a pretty good idea of where he was headed.
Yeah, he's going to Toyota.
Okay.
He's going to JGR.
There you go. And more rumors surrounding Creed joining that specific team have been cropping up over the course of this week. Again, nothing is confirmed here, but Sportsnaut, the one that kind of broke the whole Chandler Smith deal last week, is stating that not only will Sheldon Creed be there, but Chandler Smith has indeed come to terms on the buyout for the remainder of his contract with Calic Racing, and he's set to return with Creed to go to Joe Gibbs Racing next year. So that means they've got 2 of their cars set up and ready to go if these rumors hold. And again, there seems to be a heck of a lot more fire building here. It's not just a smokescreen.
Yeah, I mean, when you see it start now surfacing on jski.com of it getting prepared to be ready to be announced, something's there.
Could be as soon as Monday on the Chandler Smith deal, and it wouldn't surprise me if they do a double announcement and do both Chandler Smith and Sheldon Creed.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either.
So in some ways, they kind of get a 2-for-1 deal. They're going to lose John Hunter Nemechek from the Xfinity Series going up to the Cup Series, but they get 2 really pretty good drivers in return.
I would say very, very formidable for sure.
Yeah. I don't really know exactly what their 2024 Xfinity Series lineup is going to look like because things haven't been 100% finalized yet, but maybe by next week we'll have more clarification on what the lineup will be. Do you still think you think they'll still do a star car and do 3 full-time drivers, or are they going to go 4 full-time drivers?
I would say be like this year, 2 full-time drivers and a star car.
Okay. Find out. RSS Racing continues to be a family-owned operation. Family member driver Ryan Sieg. He's going to be back. I know, we're all shocked. In the number 39 Ford Mustang reports that SciAps will be a sponsor. Here's probably the biggest news out of that. Reports here that SciAps, which has been a sponsor of his several times this year, will be the primary sponsor for all 33 races next year. When was the last time we heard that in the top 2 levels of NASCAR, where one sponsor is your primary for all of the races? It's becoming a much bigger rarity these days.
An extremely long time.
Uh-huh. Too long in my mind. Well, motorsports, you and I had the chance to kind of go over this a little bit yesterday, Matt. Motorsports always being very fan-oriented, and we've talked about this. You think about the 4 quote-unquote major sports, as everyone likes to call them. The NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, NHL. And I've already said, really, it should be the Big 5, because if you take an average NFL game, it's going to give you the most ratings TV-wise. Second is not Major League Baseball or the NBA or the NHL. Second is actually the Cup Series. Your average Cup Series race will draw more viewers in than your average baseball game, your average basketball game, or your average hockey game. But because they insist on calling those stick and ball sports the Big 4, motorsports, even more than the NFL, is much more fan-oriented, allows the fans more access to the teams, allows more fans access to the participants than really any other sport, regardless of what it is, allows. And this is on all levels. NHRA does this, Indycar does this, Formula One somewhat, not as much. This is, though, going to go to a different level at the Xfinity Series Championship race in Phoenix. SS Greenlight Racing has teamed up with a group called Fan Controlled Sports and Entertainment for something called Fan Controlled Racing. And the company began this a couple of years ago with something called Fan Controlled Football, and what it did was it allowed fans to, by committee, make play and strategy calls for certain football teams at certain times throughout the course of a game. Now it's coming to racing. Fans are going to get to choose many of the team's decisions, and it'll start off with which driver is going to be behind the wheel. You'll have 4 drivers to choose from: veterans J.J. Yaley and David Starr, or relative youngsters Stephen Parsons or Mason Massey. So let's have a little fun here. Matt, let's go ahead and play fan-controlled racing right here on CRN. Of those 4, who would you like to see behind the wheel?
I would put J.J. Yeley behind the wheel.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at him. I was kind of looking at David Starr, but I think I would trust J.J. Yaley just a little bit more. It's a tick. I mean, it's not like by a wide margin, but yeah, just a touch more. You'll also get to select the final look of the racer. I don't know what the paint scheme choices are. I haven't seen or heard anything on that, so keep an eye on that. During the race, fans get to be in on strategy calls, like when to pit. Please don't choose just randomly, hey, we're running last, let's go see if we can put some new tires on the car and go a little faster. Don't do that. What lane to choose as the restarts approach, you'll be able to choose that as well. Fans who are part of the action that day can earn points and climb up a leaderboard that will ultimately give fans the chance to, you could have your own picture put on the hood of the 08 car in the future. Plus, you got chances at things like VIP pit and garage passes as well. I think it's a pretty cool deal. Note that it's not happening with one of the championship contenders. This is SS Greenlight Racing. It's one of the backmarker teams, the 08. It's one of 2 full-time rides for that team, the 07 being the other, owned by Bobby Dotter. The team this car doesn't have a regular driver. They're using several drivers throughout the year. Now, the 08 does have a best finish this year of 8 that occurred back in the spring at Talladega, back when Greg Galding was behind the wheel. And if you'd like more information on how to get in on fan-controlled racing, go to their website, which is it's whatever their name is. FSCE, or it might be FCSE. I apologize. I may have had a little bit of dyslexia when I did this. But yeah, FCSE.xyz as opposed to .com. That's an interesting domain. But yeah, go there, check it out, and see what you think. And who knows, maybe you could get your face on the hood of the 08 car next year. Again, I find it an interesting thing. But again, I do question this in some ways. Okay, I get the fact that you could choose which lane you would prefer them to restart in. Okay, that's fine. Go for it. That's an easy choice. How much input would the fans actually have on when to pit? I mean, are they really going to take the fans' thoughts like, I don't know, at the end of stage 1, and they're running in the back of the field and they're going to try and flip stages? Are they going to listen to the fans by saying, hey, stay out at the end of stage 1? I wouldn't think, if you got a full run on your tires.
If you want the short answer or the long answer. Short answer, no.
Right. Long answer?
Yeah. Long answer, well, you get the long pause. There's not going to be that deep of involvement that I'd say. I'd probably be like, what should we do here? And you take a poll, and it lasts like 5 minutes, and then whatever the highest percentage is what they'll do, I'm sure.
Probably. Would you, and I'll put you in the position of crew chief. You're running in the back of the pack as you're coming to the end of stage 1, and we know that they close the pits 2 laps. This will be Phoenix. So, 2 laps before the actual end of the stage. And I'm not sure how long the first stage is at Phoenix in the Xfinity Series, so I'm just going to throw out a number. Let's say that the first stage ends at lap 40. So the pits will close at lap 38. let's say, since we're running at the back of the pack, the fans suddenly decide, you know what, let's see if we can flip the stage a little bit. So we short pit, or the fans, I should say it this way, the fans vote for you to short pit. In other words, come down on lap 37, go ahead and get 4 new tires on the car, fill it up with gas, and go out there. Probably be a lap down at that point. But you can get that lap back, maybe. I mean, would that track position work at a Phoenix? I'm not so certain that flipping the stage is going to work that well at a Phoenix. But I'm just throwing it out there as a possibility.
No. Technically, no, because if you flip the stage and you pit and you lose a lap, and say your first car 1 lap down, you get your lap back, you have to restart at the tail longest line.
Yeah.
So it's a defeated purpose.
So it's not like flipping a stage at a Daytona or a Talladega where you can come down, you can get the 4 tires and get your gas, and you can still get out all in the same lap and still be on the lead lap. And therefore, when the stage comes to an end and all of the leaders come in and pit, now all of a sudden you're up front. This is not a track you can really do that at.
Correct.
You can't do it at Atlanta either, 1.5 mile track. It's been a while. Michigan, I think, Pocono you could, 2.5 mile track. Indianapolis at the Brickyard you can do it. Could you do it at Michigan?
It's going to be.
I think it'd be tight.
Close.
I think it'd be tight.
You could do it. You could do it at a road course pretty easy.
Yeah, that's for road and street courses. But yeah, Phoenix, Martinsville, Homestead, Miami, that's really not an option.
No. Nope, it's not.
So I guess the pick question then becomes, do we change 2 or 4 tires?
If you short pit, you better change 2.
Yeah, you want to get the heck out of there quick. All right.
Yeah.
Be interesting to watch. Again, it'll happen at Phoenix. Craftsman Truck Series news broke yesterday. The Xfinity Series director Wayne Aughton is going to serve in the same role for the Craftsman Truck Series this weekend and for the remainder of the year. Why? Well, the actual series director, Seth Kramlich, got arrested last Saturday in North Carolina, charged with DUI. NASCAR's told him to concentrate on his legal situation, so they put Aughton in charge of both the Truck and Xfinity Series for the remainder of the year, which for the Truck Series is, well, it's only 2 more races, this one in Phoenix. They're not running at Martinsville, are they? I didn't check the schedule.
No.
I didn't think so.
No.
Kramlich has his court date set on December the 28th. Merry Christmas. Kramlich was Aughton's assistant from 2020 through 2022. He's been with NASCAR since 2014. But in 2023, he took the reins of the Truck Series from Aughton. NASCAR has yet to comment. I know that the drivers and pit crew members, crew chiefs and stuff like that for the teams, they all have the Road to Recovery program. NASCAR's Road to Recovery program also include NASCAR employees?
Yep.
Hey, Seth.
It does.
Hey, Seth. Just, saying. I mean, we all make mistakes, but dude, you want to talk about mistakes. This right here is a whopper. Good luck, man. Best of luck to you.
The saying, why does this not surprise me, is coming to my mind. Seth is not the brightest crayon in the box. I'm sorry.
I gotcha. I understand.
I'm sorry. He's not the brightest crayon in the box.
I understand. 2 of his compatriots happen to be making the jump up to the Cup Series for 2024, but title contender Corey Heim says, I'm going to remain in the Craftsman Truck Series next year. He said he'll return to the Tricon Garage number 11 Toyota Tundra next year, told NASCAR.com, it's all good things, quote unquote. He added, I think with the progress that we've made throughout this organization to Tricon this year and the partnership between Toyota Racing, we started off a little slow, but once we got rolling in the early summertime, I feel like we were right in the mix pretty early. So Corey Heim, who again, still alive, battling for the title for this year, going to come back and go for it again next year, title or not. you've paid a heck of a lot of attention here to the Truck Series this year and know what's going on overall. For Corey Heim, is this the right move? Do you feel like this is just allow him to get a little bit more seasoning before he makes that next step up? Or do you think he's ready and this is just him going off trophy hunting and title collecting?
I think this is the right move for him to stay and get seasoned one more year.
Okay.
Because I would probably be willing to bet the farm that after 2024, there's going to be maybe one, if not two, Toyota Cup Series seats open up. And then if drivers are starting to make the jump from trucks to Cup,
right,
I would say, case in point, if prime example, if Martin Truex decides to hang it up after 2024,
sure,
I would say immediately that target number one for the 19 cars will be Corey Heim.
Even above whoever Joe Gibbs Racing has in the pipeline in Xfinity? I mean, think about who we just talked about. We just talked about Sheldon Creed and Chandler Smith moving over.
Let's just say if Corey Heim has a much considerably better year in trucks next year than either Creed or Chandler Smith, I would say it would be 1A, 1B, 1C. Corey Heim would probably be 1A.
Okay. And it does bring up the next question here because, you know, there are a lot of people that are wondering how in the world, excuse me, a Carson Hocevar and a Zane Smith, for example, merit jumping over the Xfinity Series and going straight from trucks into Cup. And what we've seen out of Carson Hocevar does seem to merit that kind of jump. For Zane Smith, a lot of people still, again, questioning that whole move as to, you know, did you really earn it? I tend to think that we're not, it's not so much breaking tradition as it is understanding the maturity and the ability of the driver. I mean, ability is certainly not in question when it comes to these guys. There's a reason that these guys are at the top three levels of NASCAR. I think there's a maturity level that you have to look at. And in watching Carson Hocevar and in watching Zane Smith, the two of them are mature beyond their years, if you ask me. And I think that played a large part in the decision to go ahead and say, you know what? Yeah, we'll pull the trigger on that and we'll have them skip Xfinity and we'll move them right on up.
Yeah, but if you look at it to base it off of talent and merit, I guess you could say.
Sure.
Zane Smith has earned his faster than Carson Hocevar has.
Yeah, I think it's a maturity level that has gotten Carson Hocevar as far as it's gotten him.
Yeah. Yep.
You know,
I agree on that one.
I mean, his driving ability, you know, you can say what it is. It may still be a little bit rough around the edges, but he is mature beyond his years, and that certainly did help him. And it didn't hurt that he was comfortable in front of a camera when he sat down for the interview on Fox Sports 1's NASCAR Race Hub, and he was being grilled not just by, I think it was Shannon Spake, but not only her, but by three other people, including a Cup crew chief and one Cup Series driver, if not two, and he held his own.
Mm-hmm.
He more than held his own.
Mm-hmm.
That tells me a lot. That tells me that in a lot of ways he's much more prepared than some of the people that we see right now in the Xfinity Series. And I might even go so far as to say maybe even some of the people that have spent their first year in the Cup Series. And I'll throw this guy out. And I know that we got to get to break, producer John, but we're going to get there. I want to make this point first. I could question Ty Gibbs and his maturity level. Now, has he acquitted himself well? Yes, he has. Overall. But I still somewhat question his maturity level at 18. I'm going to throw you back to the guy who's the reigning, and probably will be again, NASCAR Cup Series most popular driver. What was our biggest complaint when it came to Chase Elliott when he first got up into the Cup Series? The man didn't know how to handle himself in front of. He didn't know how to handle himself in front of a camera and a microphone.
Too young, inexperienced.
Yeah. And we kept saying, your driving ability is fantastic, Chase. you've got to get better in these pre and post race interviews. And Carson Hocevar has that. Carson Hocevar has the talent behind the wheel, but he's comfortable in front of a camera and a microphone.
Sure.
You know, and is that all that there is to it when it comes to being a racer in NASCAR? No, but it certainly helps. Because NASCAR, you're the front and center person. You are the point person for that team, for that car or that truck. And if you're not a well-spoken, well-presented person, producer John, as a company owner, might look at it and go, is he the best spokesperson for my company?
I'd have to hire a PR person just to instruct him on what to say, when to say it, and how to say it.
There it is. Carson Hocevar has that. Chase Elliott has come a long way. Chase Elliott in his early years versus now, light years difference. Okay? I mean, the distance is literally light years from point A to point B. He has come a long way in a short time. Thank you, Chase Elliott. Whoever you got to train you, good job. Carson Hocevar didn't need that trainer. Carson Hocevar's there.
His training wheels are off.
A Daytona 500 winner set to race in the Craftsman Truck Series. We're going to talk about him and another somewhat surprising driver change coming. McAnally Hilgeman Racing is going to look a lot different in 2024 than what they are finishing out 2023. We'll detail all that, and we'll talk about the final member of the 2024 NASCAR Hall of Fame class. Technically, they're not a Hall of Famer. They are the Squire Hall Award winner. But hey, they're going into the Hall. We'll talk about them next on CRN.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. Fuel only, fuel only. Go, go, go. We're back to the Championship Racing Network.
Yeah, we are, and thank you very much for joining us. I'm Steve West, along with producer John in studio. Matt is by phone.
He's
with
such
family.
a slacker.
I know. By
Going
family,
and staying with family instead of being here with us.
Thinking family is more important. What the heck? Oh, man, this whole Matt DiBenedetto-Rackley War Racing drama, it's such a soap opera. Matt DiBenedetto said a few weeks ago, you know what, at the end of the year, I'm going to be leaving Rackley War Racing. We'll figure out what we're going to do in 2024. Rackley War initially seemed to be okay with that, and then they said, you know what, you go ahead and take off early. We'll see you. We'll figure out what the heck we're going to do for the rest of the year. So they're trying to fill out the rest of the year. The latest fill-in is going to be your 2011 Daytona 500 winning driver, Trevor Bayne. Bayne, who was out of NASCAR for a couple of years before he got a shot at a part-time Xfinity ride starting just last year, continuing into this year, kind of inexperienced in Truck Series competition. He actually only has 8 starts in a truck to his credit, and all of those came back in 2020. He had a top 5 and 2 top 10 finishes. Best finish, second place at Talladega when he drove that season for Nice Motorsports. That was late that year. I don't know as that makes that much of a difference, a relative lack of experience in the Truck Series. But, I mean, 8 starts, and all of them coming in the same year. How much of the trucks changed from 2020 to now?
A lot.
Okay.
He's got some work to do. I mean, considering he's starting 32nd today.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he'll get his way up there for sure.
He'll get comfortable pretty quick.
The overall, he'll get comfortable fairly quick.
Okay. This one might be even as much a surprise as the whole deal with Matt DiBenedetto. McAnally Hilgeman Racing has to look for a new driver. The number 35 and 2023 rookie in that truck, Jake Garcia, announced via social media he's not returning to that truck in 2024. As he goes into this weekend racing 14th in the driver points, 2 top 5s, 8 top 10 results so far in his inaugural season in the series. He released a statement that read in part, quote, "I've thoroughly enjoyed my rookie season in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series with everybody at McAnally Hilgeman Racing. The support of our partners at Quanta Services and Adaptive One. We've had fast trucks, strong finishes, and have a lot of reasons to be proud of our effort. However, I'll be pursuing a new opportunity in 2024 that I'm excited to share in the near future. Until then, our 35 team is going to finish this season with 100% effort over the final 2 races, and I hope to get to victory lane." Rookie year and leaving the truck after only 1 year. What the heck kind of an opportunity is he getting that he feels might be better than McAnally Hilgeman?
I personally won't be totally surprised if he gets a shot at either Tricon or Front Row.
Okay. Well, we do know the Front Row's got an opening. Zane Smith is leaving. And I don't mean this as disrespect to McAnally Hilgeman Racing, but yeah, I think going to Front Row would be a step up.
If he got a shot to go to Tricon in the one truck, that'd be a step up too.
That'd be a better than the Front Row truck?
It's going to be close.
Okay. Just checking. That said, McAnally Hilgeman Racing will have Christian Eckes back. The team announced Thursday that Eckes and Napa have both re-upped for 2024 in the number 19 Chevrolet Silverado. This will mark the 34th year for the team and Napa to be partners together. And with Eckes, they're also bringing back crew chief Charles Deneke. The driver and the crew chief prepared for 3 wins, 9 top 5, and a dozen top 10 finishes this year. And they're still alive in the 2023 chase for the Craftsman Truck Series Championship, sitting 3rd in the standings going into the race that's coming up a little bit later on today. Realistic chances for Eckes. I mean, Eckes has, obviously, he's a veteran in this series. He's got experience from time back at Kyle Busch Motorsports. Remember them? Back when they were a Toyota operation. Realistic chances for Eckes and McAnally Hilgeman Racing when it comes to hoisting the title at Phoenix in a couple of weeks?
I'm going to say better than 50%.
That good?
Yeah, he's got a very realistic, very, very realistic shot.
Okay. Good deal. This one, I sat back and I had to reread this story about 3 different times, knowing, of course, that I was going to do it, but at the same time, kind of being puzzled and amused all at the same time. Now, it took us longer than expected to get the 2024 NASCAR schedules for the Cup, Xfinity, and Craftsman Truck Series. And as we noted on the show on CRN Live on YouTube last week, it was the, again, CRN Live on YouTube only show. It might not even be set in stone. NASCAR and Chicago, as it turns out, have yet to finalize the deal to redo the street course race from 2023 to 2024. It's not all signed on the dotted line. Now, let's presume that the races are going to take place. NASCAR revealed that they're going to be a little shorter. The Xfinity Series race will go from 55 laps from earlier this year down to 50 next year. The Cup Series race, which was slated for 100 laps this year but got shortened by rain, is now officially 65 laps for 2024. That, again, presumes that the two sides make it official. This was the situation that we talked about it last week, in that Chicago officials said this was NASCAR jumping the gun because they wanted to get the schedule out. I don't know where to go with this, because for me, if I'm going to put out a 2024 schedule that states right in the middle for what is effectively your July 4th race, not that it's going to happen on July 4th, but you get what I'm saying, that you're going to race again on the streets of Chicago, one would think you'd actually want that to be set in stone with ink dried on the contract.
Yeah, you would think so.
And we're going to shorten the races kind of significantly from 100 scheduled laps to 65. I mean, I get it. 5 laps, okay. You're dropping 35 laps off of the Cup Series race. 35.
I thought it was down to 75. I could have misread it.
65. It got dropped to 75 because of the rain earlier this year. What in the world? Why are we even going? Again, I get it. You really want to make Chicago a part of NASCAR. You got a very nice facility, a nice 1.5 mile facility that's not all that far away. It's called Chicagoland. Remember it?
This is becoming too comical, because they base that schedule, it's what it sounds to me, they base that schedule off an agreement in principle.
Yeah.
Not a signed agreement.
Exactly.
A principle agreement. And now Chicago's like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of, they want to backtrack now. It's here's how you solve this. Don't go.
Yeah. Exactly.
Go to your perfectly good racetrack that's sitting in Joliet.
Mm-hmm.
Go race there, because I said this last week. What has produced, outside of the super speedway race, what has produced the best racing overall with this new car for the last 2 years? A 1.5 mile worn out surface.
Yep.
What is Chicagoland? A 1.5 mile
worn out surface. Amen. But here's the thing. Even if you decide not to go to Chicago, I can think of some places that aren't that too far away that you could easily go to. Road America or Mid-Ohio.
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee's there as well, sure.
Chicagoland.
Road America, Mid-Ohio.
Yeah.
Kentucky. There's options, boys and girls. There's options. Go someplace else. Just tell Chicago to stuff it.
Yeah.
Television rights deals, not really much movement here. What we do know is this. We know that the rights for the Xfinity Series are going to CW Network for 2025. We don't know who the TV partners are going to be for the Cup Series or the Truck Series. We presume it probably will remain the same, because that's what we've been hearing, that Fox Sports will continue to have the beginning of the year, NBC Sports will continue to have the end of the year for the Cup Series, and that when it comes to the Truck Series, Fox Sports 1 will continue to cover all the races. And reports have both Fox Sports and NBC Sports willing to re-up with NASCAR at slight increases over the amounts for the current TV deal. And then there's this. I say slight increases because they'd actually lose some races out of this particular situation, about 6, maybe 8. NASCAR said at the beginning of the 2023 season that they expected the TV rights deals would be settled by summer, which switched to late summer, then became fall. Welcome to the fall. Still no rights deal has been signed. NASCAR says they want to take 6 races out of the middle of the season, and it could land on cable only on a separate, entirely separate deal, not like USA or Fox Sports 1. They're talking about maybe going to Turner Sports, to TBS, or to TNT, or they might take it streaming only. We keep hearing the name Amazon Prime. So again, for 6 races. So you're going to have technically 3 packages. So you'll have a split. So you got 36 points races, 6 races in the middle of the year. So 30 races split between Fox Sports 1 and NBC, 15 races each. Beginning of the year for Fox Sports, let's presume it. The final 15 races at NBC Sports, with those 6 races in the middle going to, no disrespect to Turner Sports, probably to Amazon Prime, if I'm guessing. And they'll get a third check out of that. So you get a check from Fox Sports 1, you get a check from Fox, you get a check from NBC, and then you get a check from Amazon or Turner Sports. And I think at that point in time, they get what they're looking for, which is the increase in the television rights deal overall.
Heck, even I would say instead of going Amazon Prime, which is, I think, so stupid. But
yeah, but that's where things are going now.
Yeah, true. I know that's where things are going, but there's a lot of homes that don't have that.
Sure.
Go put it on and give it a 6-race shot to CW.
Yeah. Or ABC, ESPN, if they wanted to do it. I mean, throw that 6-race thing wide open.
You're going to have the crews in place already.
Sure.
Why don't you give CW a shot?
There you go. I mean, but again, I'd be wide open to the idea of just throwing it out to literally everybody. Let's presume Fox Sports 1 keeps the first part and NBC Sports keeps the last part. Throw it open to everybody. Amazon Prime, Netflix, CW, TBS, TNT, ABC, ESPN, CBS. I don't care. Whoever it is, come in with a deal that shows us that you're actually interested legitimately in this. We might just give you those 6 races.
Heck, we'll do it and call it radio style every race.
I like your thinking.
Just saying.
And one more note here before we take a break and turn our attention to some straight line news. We found out that the 2024 Hall of Fame inductees, all of them except for the Squire Hall Award winner for NASCAR Media Excellence, that got revealed this week. It goes to Los Angeles Times reporter Shav Glick. Glick had been the lead motorsports reporter for the newspaper for almost 40 years. Started at the Pasadena Star-News before he joined the Los Angeles Mirror. That paper then combined with the Times, and he stayed with the Times until he retired. When they joined, it was 1969. He got asked to cover motorsports. He did it faithfully until he retired in 2006. He's already a member of the International Motorsports Hall of Fame, which we know very well because it's on the ground at Talladega Superspeedway. He claimed the 1977 American Motorsports Media Award, and in 2004 was the first newspaper reporter inducted into the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America. He was chosen over 7 other nominees for the 2024 Squire Hall Award for NASCAR Media Excellence. Congratulations to him. At some point in time, I expect they will put this show up for that award. Kent.
Hey.
Was that too subtle, John?
No.
Okay.
Bigger sledgehammers needed.
Yeah. Bigger sledgehammer. I'll remember that for next time. As promised, we'll turn our attention to the Straight Line Racers, the National Hot Rod Association.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network.
Make plans to come. WD.
4 tires and 2 cans of fuel, and we're back to more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
Welcome back in. Hey, remember me talking about way back when we did the race recap, about an hour ago? Did you miss it?
Yes.
Why? Where you been for the last hour?
Asleep.
We start at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central Time. Anyway. John over there doing his job half asleep. Anyway, talked about Gage Herrera, who's just owning the Pro Stock Motorcycle division this year, claimed one whale of a final. But that even wasn't his fastest time or speed of the weekend. Turns out we have a new elapsed time record in Pro Stock Motorcycle. Not just at the track, but in series history, division history.
Oh?
Yeah, Herrera broke the previous record set back in 2021 at the Gator Nationals by more than 3/100ths of a second. Karen Stouffer set that time back then. 6.665 ET to get from beginning to end. Herrera felt that with the weather and conditions that they were at Texas Motorplex last weekend, that the record time might be possible. Said, quote, "We kind of figured with the weather that we could run a .64. But after seeing what Pro Stock didn't pick up that much, we kind of didn't think it would be possible." So I'll turn this over to our producer, John, who is more experienced on riding motorcycles than either myself or Matt are.
Yes.
Fastest you would be willing to get on a motorcycle, and I'll go under controlled conditions. How fast are you willing to go on a motorcycle? Under controlled conditions, like a drag strip.
Honestly?
Sure.
Me, myself, and I?
Lie to me, please.
About 90 to 100 miles an hour.
Okay.
Max.
Ready for this? Herrera went out and pulled 2 times under Stouffer's previous record, pulled a 6.652 and the brand new record, which is 6.627. Pulling near record speeds of 203.81 and 204.16 miles per hour.
Never in our lifetimes combined.
Dude pulled a 203.3 to win the event in the finals. Youch.
That's fast.
Yeah, it's moving it, buddy.
Now, keep this in mind.
On 2 wheels, too.
You're talking about you and 2 wheels underneath of you, no cage, no roof, no nothing.
No nothing.
Yeah, no.
You, leathers, and a helmet. That's it.
I was probably white as a sheet getting onto the interstate at 90 miles an hour. That's as fast as I've been and as fast as I really want to go.
I understand. Gage Herrera claimed his 12th number 1 qualifying run this year. That's also a new series record, broke the old one set by Matt Hines. Herrera said of the runs, quote, "It was a picture-perfect run. It was smooth, and it actually felt slow. I really didn't think it went that fast. I went around the turnoff, and one of the Safari guys yelled I went 204. I thought maybe we went like 65. It was 62. We're definitely happy about that. No kidding. Whew. That's moving. There's the flip side of that, though, that we're going to deal with here in a minute.
one quick point on these bikes that they're
By
racing.
all means.
Okay. They have a wheelie bar, so they don't flip backwards. They have extra wide rear tire for stability.
They do.
And that's a little different than a street bike.
True.
I might be willing to push it to, 125, but nowhere near 200 plus. No, that ain't happening.
We'll give you the cautionary side of this here in a moment. First things first here, a couple of driver notes. Jed Coughlin Jr., well known as a championship racing winner in the Pro Stock car division. While he didn't retire officially from driving, he's really been spending the last couple of years mentoring Erica Enders. That's worked out pretty well. He will continue in that role primarily next year as well, but the team is preparing some new things for 2024, and he'd like to get a jump on it. So while Enders continues to battle in her regular car for the 2023 title, Coughlin's going to get back behind the wheel to run a brand new ride with a little help from Skag Power Equipment to let the team get a better idea of what this new car will need. You can see the new car right now on CRN Live on YouTube, courtesy of NHRA.com.
Nice looking car.
That car will run the final 2 races of the year, and then he will turn the car over to Enders for 2024. Now, Coughlin's experience, only 84 national event wins in the Camping World Drag Racing Series, 65 of them in Pro Stock car competition. He's been with the Division Power Elite Motorsports the last 4 years, like I noted, as a driver and a mentor. So he's going to get to shake that card down. Obviously, they didn't tell us what the changes are because while they're trying to get a jump on 2024, they don't want everybody else to know about it because, well, we're trying to get a jump. Seems self-explanatory, doesn't it? Meantime, Peyton Racing, P-A-T-O-N, Patton, P-A-T-O-N, Peyton, I don't know. Pick your choose, whichever one you prefer. I don't know, Matt, you've been there on the grounds. Is it Patton or Peyton?
I think it's Peyton.
Okay, that's what I figured. Anyway.
Patton would have 2 T's.
I would think, yeah. They're going to give Kelly Harper his first chance at competition in a top fuel racer at the upcoming Las Vegas Nationals. It's next weekend. Harper, who is a top sportsman and top dragster pilot by trade, acquired his top fuel license at Gainesville earlier this year, but he couldn't get a ride. But the Phoenix, Arizona native has kept in touch with teams. Peyton Racing going to put him in a top fuel ride that you're about to see on CRN Live on YouTube, courtesy of NHRA.com. Sponsorship coming from Rude Manufacturing and RSD. Sharp-looking little ride right there. So he's going to get the chance to do that. Again, that's next weekend. That's a one-time deal. We're not hearing anything about this season finale, but hey, I don't know if he proves to be really, really good. Maybe they'll go ahead and enter him to go to Pomona, California, because it's not that far away.
I don't know about that, but that car, just the graphics pop.
They do. Yeah, it's a good look. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I said, if he qualifies, gets to the finals in the top 16, and I don't know, wins a round, I might be willing to put him out there and say, hey, let's go to California. Let's see what else he can do. We'll give you a shot. What the heck?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So here comes the flip side to the whole Gage Herrera doing 204 and 203 miles per hour. I present to you 2023 Camping World Drag Racing Series Rookie of the Year contender Chase Van Zandt, who runs in the Pro Stock Motorcycle Division. He's set to miss the final 2 events of the 2023 season because he had to undergo a skin graft on his injured knee. He was injured in the opening qualifying session last weekend at Texas Motorplex via the picture you see on CRN Live on YouTube right now.
One word. Ouch.
Uh-huh. In the shutdown area past the finish line, the bike began to veer towards the guard wall. Now, John, you noted the differences between a street bike and a pro stock motorcycle.
Uh-huh.
One of the big differences is it doesn't really turn
Not a
via
whole lot.
handlebars.
Not a whole lot.
So you see what he's doing there.
Yeah, he's leaning out.
For those of you that are listening and not watching, he's leaning over to one side of the bike, his left side of the bike specifically. On his left side, he's leaning way over and trying to get the bike to lean to turn.
Right.
Now, this particular shot is the aftermath. I've seen the video. This is past where he was able to keep it from hitting the guard wall. This is now the correction. He has yet to put himself back up on the bike properly. Right at that still shot right there is where that knee made contact with the asphalt. And it jumped him to the point where it lifted him up off of the seat and put him back down on the bike.
Now, in my early bike days, I got stupid and made a rookie mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I was traveling about 45, and I locked eyes on a telephone pole.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ride a bike, you know you're going where you're looking.
Uh-huh. And that'll happen in a
And
car,
I'm headed
too.
straight for this pole and freaking out.
Your hands will follow what your eyes are doing.
I got into some gravel, so the bike was going down, and rookie mistake, I planted my foot to keep upright.
Mm-hmm.
Torsion break of my left leg.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine being close to 250 miles an hour and leaning out on a bike like that.
Let's just say, and sorry for those of you that are having your breakfast or your coffee right now, but he admitted kneecap and tendons were showing.
Oh, I guarantee it. And keep in mind also that he's wearing protective gear.
Uh-huh.
That's gone.
Yeah.
Shredded.
All gone. So there's your cautionary tale, boys and girls. Let's go to IndyCar news here, where Andretti's global operation has several irons in the fire, not the least of which is still waiting to hear about the F1 future, if there is any. But when it comes to their main racing operation, which I still consider to be the IndyCar team, they have confirmed 3 full-time cars for 2024. They will be driven by young drivers Colton Herta and Kyle Kirkwood, and the veteran, but new to Andretti, driver Marcus Ericsson, who apparently is replacing Romain Grosjean, who has entered arbitration over that move. We talked about that over the last couple of weeks. But here's the weird deal. There is still the thought the team might actually field a 4th full-time ride. Huh? Racer.com talked to Chief Operating Officer Rob Edwards of Andretti Global, and he said, quote, "I would hope within the next 10 days to 2 weeks we'll decide what we're doing here. It's getting close. We're not quite there yet." Here's the other side of it. Grosjean doesn't appear to be that option for that possible 4th team. Among the thoughts of how a 4th car could come in, former Andretti driver Brian Herta, a combined effort with his Brian Herta Autosport operation, potentially along with the 3rd team in on the attempt said to be the all-female Peretta Autosport, maybe using Tatiana Calderon as their driver, but no details have been available yet. Edwards only admitted coyly, quote, "I'd say that's in the mix."
If I were an F1 driver, I'd be glad that my name is not Romain.
Romain Grosjean. Yeah.
Yes.
I got you. This one turns out to be not so big of a surprise. Juncos Hollinger Racing, yes, that's how you say it, has officially announced that they have come to terms with their 2023 rookie, Agustin Canapino. He will return to the team in 2024. Again, not really all that shocked. I think it was just a matter of working out all the details. Canapino will be back in the team's number 78 car. Canapino impressed most. He did ruffle some feathers. I mean, he's a rookie. What do you want? But he impressed most in his first year of the series. And while he didn't claim a top 10, he did claim 12th twice, including in the season opener in St. Petersburg. So there you go. Matt, John, we interested in maybe doing a road trip out to California for the inaugural IndyCar $1 million challenge?
After I seen what you're about to talk about, nope.
I'm thinking this is going to be a turnoff for a whole lot of people, too. Because if you're interested in getting tickets to go to this, you're going to pay.
I'll front everybody.
Through the nose.
As soon as I win that $13 billion jackpot.
That should tell you what you need to know. But we're going to get more specific. General admission tickets. Let me remind you what I just said.
Gosh.
General admission tickets for the IndyCar $1 million challenge, effectively their all-star race next year, have been set at the admittedly rather ridiculous price of $2,000 per.
Now, that doesn't guarantee you a seat in any stand. That's general admission.
And only 5,000 tickets are going to be sold for the event between March 22nd and 24th at the private club. It does pay to be a member. Members only have to pay $300 per ticket. And any ticket will include lunch at no cost for all 3 days. Well, that's the least you could do. By the way, to have the benefit of only having to pay $300 per ticket by being a member, that only sets you back a minimum of $85,000. That's right. Thermal Club membership, low end, is $85,000 annually.
Plus,
with a $600 monthly fee or due. That's, again, the low end. If you would like the premium package, which includes unlimited track time for you private club members, it'll only cost you $200,000 annually with monthly dues of $1,200. By the way, tickets go on sale early this coming week.
Now, total that up. That's $344,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tickets go on sale early this week. Interested?
Yes. Right after I win that $13 billion jackpot.
I want to know what the heck's for lunch. Lunch is included. If it's McDonald's, I'm going to be sorely disappointed. I mean, what's the fanciest restaurant you can find in and around Thermal Club near the Los Angeles area, which is, what, Palm Springs? You better find the fanciest dang restaurant in town. You better get that dang chef up there, and he better be cooking up some really good stuff. Otherwise, it ain't worth it.
Don't touch that dial. The Championship Racing Network will be right back. Two tires only, and back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
Hey, welcome back into the show. Thank you for joining us. Do appreciate it. Real quick, qualifying is set to begin here for the Cup Series down at Homestead, Miami. Practices, for all intents and purposes, toast. Bubba Wallace, top of the leaderboard there. Austin Cindric, Ryan Blaney. So Toyota, Ford, Toyota, Christopher Bell, Ford of Michael McDowell. Three more Toyotas, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick. The Fords of Brad Keselowski and Chase Briscoe round out the top 10. The first Chevrolet, Daniel Suarez in 12th.
Quick note before we go on to anything else. Now this is practicing, right?
It's practice, yeah. Qualifying is set to begin here in a moment.
Do you actually look at practice to?
I'm going by the website, by the way, Matt. You may know more by watching TV.
Do you actually go by practice at all?
I don't have it on TV.
Do you really look at it?
You can, because practice sessions will tell you things, and what I would tend to do is not just look at one particular lap, especially at like a Daytona or a Talladega or even in Atlanta, because you get into drafting situations and obviously you can get a real good speed. But practice can tell you a lot, because you can look at things like your 10 lap, 15 lap, and 20 lap averages,
but
and that'll give you a better
as a
idea.
driver, though, I'm talking about outside looking in.
Mm-hmm.
What does it tell you? Nothing, because if I'm out there practicing, I may be not pushing the car to its limit, and probably not to begin with.
Well, you're going to push the car to a limit in a certain extent, because you want to know what the car is going to be like actually during race form. Because during qualifying, they'll tend to tape up a lot of things that they wouldn't necessarily tape up during practice. So practice in a lot of ways will tell me more than qualifying will. Just to be honest, because again, you're much more in the race setup than you are in your qualifying. So that's where I go.
Yeah, round two of qualifying just has started. Round one's already completed. The final 10 in the second round is Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, Austin Dillon, Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson, Martin Truex, Bubba Wallace, William Byron, Tyler Reddick, and Tyler Gibbs.
Yeah, so that whole practice session where no Chevrolets made the top 10, throw that right out the window.
Yep.
By the way, for those of you that are curious, Max Verstappen didn't win the pole for the U.S. Grand Prix at COTA. Matter of fact, he doesn't even start.
Sprint showdown. This is sprint week.
Well, that's true. So this is qualifying for the, but, either way. Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, Lewis Hamilton third, Carlos Sainz fourth, George Russell fifth, Max Verstappen sixth. Pierre Gasly, Esteban Ocon, Sergio Perez, and Oscar Piastri fell out the top 10. Yuki Tsunoda 11th, Zhou Guanyu 12th, Valtteri Bottas 13th, Kevin Magnussen in 14th with Daniel Ricciardo in 15th, and those guys that got eliminated in round 1, 16 through 20. Nico Hulkenberg, a bad day at qualifying for the Aston Martins. Fernando Alonso 17th, Alexander Albon 18th, Lance Stroll in the other Aston 19th, and the Williams of Logan Sargent in 20th. So the American-born driver coming back home to race in America starts at the back of the field. Ouch.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude. Or not. Hey, what happened last Saturday when it began to appear that Daniel Ricciardo was kind of set to return to racing action this weekend in the U.S. Grand Prix of the Americas? Yeah, last Saturday was actually a good day for him. Ricciardo was in Nashville. Had one of the Red Bull or RB7 racers. This was a car used back in 2011 by Sebastian Vettel and Mark Webber in that year's championship season for both the team as a Constructors' Cup champion and for Sebastian Vettel specifically as the driver's champion. He was able to get in the car in the lower Broadway area, where all the little honky-tonk bars and everything, where all the country music stars got their start, and put on a show for the crowd that gathered, do some short demo runs, spun some donuts as well. Ricciardo, as we've been telling you, broke a bone in his left hand in a practice crash before the Dutch Grand Prix way back in August and had to undergo surgery for it. And since then, he's been in rehab and simulator action, working to come back to race for AlphaTauri ever since. Ricciardo said at the exhibition, quote, driving here in Nashville on Broadway was pretty wild. Broadway is normally wild in itself, but especially today, it was cool to put on a show for everyone. Thursday, when he arrived at COTA, he officially confirmed he's been cleared to race. After spending the past 5 races off, doing surgery, rehab, and simulator action, he said all he could do was watch as reserve driver Liam Lawson took over the car, and it made him antsy. Lawson didn't score any points, but he did perform well in the equipment. Ricciardo appreciated his time there, and then when he talked about his own experience of arriving at COTA, said, quote, it's good to be back. My hand's much better. The simulator was a useful way of assessing it. I tried it out in the week before Qatar, but I didn't feel like it was at full potential, so I spent more time in the sim, got to the point where I felt ready to go. My overall fitness is fine as I kept training as much as I could, although obviously I couldn't do much with my left hand or arm for a while, but yeah, he's back. Now, I will say this. I mean, you can only do so much work with a broken hand on your left arm, and we're talking about a 3+ mile long track that's got 20 turns, including a couple of really good hairpin turns at COTA. This is going to be a test for Daniel Ricciardo and that arm and that hand. This is going to be a real good test for him.
It's going to be a hard one for sure.
So we'll find out. I presume we have heard that Liam Lawson is going to be at COTA, so we presume he'll be on standby in case they need to pull Ricciardo out. And I presume that they've got approval to do that, to do a sub driver. So, I guess we'll find out. Time will tell. Haas F1 got themselves a new look and a new car, even though they continue to languish at or near the bottom of the Formula One Constructors' Cup standings. But they are coming to their home country. I mean, it is Haas F1 after all. And they're trying to change their fortunes for the remainder of the year. They're hoping to get a jump on 2024 as well. First things first, we'll give you a look at their new, for at least this race, look. It's going to be, it is thought, this one race look that'll show a little bit of the stars and stripes reminiscent of the American flag. You'll be able to see the car here in a moment on CRN Live on YouTube, courtesy of Formula1.com. The drivers are going to wear fire suits that'll mimic the look of the racers as well. But again, it's thought to be only for COTA, that particular look right there. Likely not to be used when the series comes back to race in the U.S. again in Las Vegas. They might have another special look for that particular race, but right there, got the stars and stripes going. So, yeah, a little bit of Texas, a little bit of American flag there, and all right, good deal. It's a pretty good-looking car. Thing about it is might be more important what's under that look. What you can see right there on that side pod is the new body style. That's right. They're going with that so-called downwash look that Red Bull began the year with, and, well, let's face it, they've dominated the season with. Haas is breaking it out as part of a major upgrade. Team boss Gunther Steiner said, quote, "This upgrade on the VF23 is aerodynamic. We changed the concept because of what we started with, because of the new regulations from last year. We just couldn't make any more gains performance-wise. So creating more downforce and less drag, it just wasn't there anymore. So we needed to change the whole concept, commonly known as the Red Bull concept or the downwash concept. Again, that has everything to do with the side pod right there. If you're seeing the picture on CRN Live on YouTube, that's that area right where the prominent Haas is located." Gunther concluded, "It is a substantial update. We're able to do this within the cost cap because we didn't have any updates at the beginning of the season. Because again, going back, we couldn't find any performance that we could make parts to put on the car. And since then, Alfa Romeo's jumped over Haas in the standings. So Haas now sitting 9th out of the current 10 teams. Is that me? You? Okay. We're looking for some background noise that we got going here. Alfa Romeo, again, jumped over Haas F1 in the standings last race. Haas F1 sitting 9th out of the current 10 teams in the Constructors' Cup with 12 points. Alfa Romeo's got 5. And if Daniel Ricciardo has anything to say about it, that gap might close fairly quickly. You better hope that this works. You better hope that this works. I guess the big question here for me is COTA the right track to test this at? I mean, we just gave you the qualifying results. Red Bull was 6th. And that's the concept that they're trying to mimic. Well, I guess we'll see.
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
Hard to say.
I guess we'll find out as the series goes on or as the races go on. Again, this is the first of 3 races and 3 weekends for F1. From here, they go to Mexico next week, and the week after that, they'll be in Brazil. Then they'll take a week off and come back to the United States for that inaugural Vegas race. Red Bull, like Haas F1, going to debut a special look for this weekend at COTA as well. We'll show that to you here in a moment. Earlier this year, the team asked fans to design the overall look of the car, the one that ran at Miami. The winning design was submitted by a person from Argentina. Okay. It really takes,
see that.
Yeah. Really takes more inspiration, they said, this time around from the flag of the state of Texas, broad red, white, and blue stripes, prominent stars. They say that there'll be yet another look when they come to Vegas that'll be unveiled before the race next month. Now, obviously, they did a whole lot of a major flashy design reveal here. So if you're looking on CRN Live on YouTube, you got all the LED lights in the background there. Try and concentrate as much as you can. Yeah, it's a little bit less American flag, a little bit more Texas, but truth be told, it's red, white, and blue stripes.
All I can see is Nike swoop. I mean, that's all I can
Swoosh.
see.
I mean, they flew the car on a helicopter through Austin to the landing point. I mean,
show offs.
Yeah, show off.
You want to make the drivers mad? Well, the FIA has. The FIA, with the approval of the World Motorsport Council, upped the maximum amount of any potential fine. The previous top end for a fine against a driver was set at 250,000 euros. That's about $262,000 US. Effective immediately, as in right now, ready for this weekend at COTA, your new ceiling, 1 million euros, about $1.1 million US. And the drivers ain't happy. Lewis Hamilton, probably the one most able to pay such a fine, said that the only way that it would work out, and he would pay it, is if it was, quote, sure 100% that it goes to a good cause, unquote. I don't know where these fines go. I'll be real honest with you. FIA has never said what they do with these fines that they levy on these drivers. Does it go to a retirement thing? Do they give it to Formula One charities? I don't know. Whatever. Hamilton's teammate, George Russell, not paid anywhere near as much as Sir Lewis Hamilton is, along with Haas F1 driver Kevin Magnussen, Williams driver Alex Albon, and others, noted they'd probably be unlikely to be able to afford to pay the fine in their current salaries, or that if they could gather the money together, it would create a massive hardship on them in the aftermath of handing that money over. Yeah. Here's my question, and I got to ask this question as we're starting to run out of time, unfortunately. What in the world do you have to do? What in the world have you done to get Formula One or the FIA to levy a €1 million penalty on you?
Screw up really, really, really badly.
They didn't even levy a €1 million penalty on Lewis Hamilton for walking across a live track last race. What are you doing to get a €1 million penalty?
Something insanely stupid.
Gotta be. Oof. Yikes.
Can we get to this Jaguar car?
Sure. We'll talk about these other things here a little bit later on, because there's some pretty cool stuff coming up here when it comes to documentaries and stuff that's going to be happening on streaming, but it's not time sensitive, so we'll get to that next week. We got Tag Heuer Porsche confirming their Season 10 driver pairing, both holding drivers from last year, Antonio Felix da Costa, Pascal Wehrlein in Formula E. The pair gave the team their best season so far in the series, 4 wins, 7 podium finishes. So not much will change. Even the look of the car will be the same. Jaguar, on the other hand, will change the look of their Season 10 racers, but they're going to keep one aspect of the Season 9 look, kind of an asymmetrical theme where one half of the car doesn't mirror the other half. You can see this look right now on CRN Live on YouTube. Very starkly black and white.
Get your Matchbox car here.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
A little bit red,
Hot Wheels.
some gold striping, some red lettering on there for Formula E and a couple of there. But yeah, it's very starkly black and white, and again, kind of asymmetrical. That car will stand out amongst the 22 cars on the track.
Yeah, when I was setting up the screenshot for this thing, I was like, where'd you get this Hot Wheels picture, Steve? Seriously. I mean, that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, but nope, that's what they're going with. If the team is named McLaren, they have to have that signature papaya orange color prominently displayed on the racer, and the new 2024 look for Formula E was revealed this week, and it shows exactly that, along with a lot of black. Car is going to feature the papaya orange along the top of the racer and along the halo safety system for the driver, and then down along the sides of the back of the car, but the front and the rear wing will be black along the side of the car to about the 2/3 rearward look. It'll be black as well, mostly white lettering for the sponsors. We have a front-on look right there that doesn't really show you as much as I would have liked to, but that was the best shot that I could find. And that's a very similar shot for the Avalanche Andretti reveal. They revealed their new for 2024 look as well. They're going very patriotic, if you're from the U.S. Red, white, and blue look on that car. Most of the body's actually white, red adoring the lower sides along the back half of the car and the rear wings. You can kind of see the red there on CRN Live on YouTube. And the blue, it's really only a stripe that separates the white from the red there along those side pods.
Yeah, you can barely see it with the light reflecting off of it.
Yeah,
but it's there.
Exactly. And Jake Dennis, who is the defending Formula E champion, has announced he's using his champion's prerogative. He will drive the number 1 in 2024. He said, quote, "I've always wanted to earn the right to use the number 1 at some point in my career, and to do so for the first time in our new Andretti Global livery paint scheme makes the moment even more special." His new for 2024 teammate is Norman Nato. They'll use the number 17 because, hey, Formula E, unlike Formula One, doesn't demand the driver pick a number for their entire career. Practice set to begin here in a couple of days. Monday, they'll head to Valencia, Spain, turn laps at the Ricardo Tormo circuit and get prepared. And oh, by the way, we got a team with a new name. Neo F333. They're changing their name. They're going to become the ERT Formula E team. You can see the logo right there on CRN Live on YouTube now, courtesy of the ERT Formula E team themselves. So yeah, new team, hoping to God that helps their fortunes. Good luck. We'll talk about the video game for that, and we'll talk about Formula One series that are coming to streaming, documentaries that are pretty cool stuff. In the meantime, Matt, good luck and hope everything goes well with the family. Safe travels back home next weekend. We'll talk to you next weekend right here on the Championship Racing Network.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
WDNG.